Hey, 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 welcome back, Pilgrims. Another exciting breakdown of startups for y'all this week.
Let's get into it. First, we'll talk about Hoop, an AI-powered productivity startup that aims to revolutionize task management for professionals in today's age of remote work and digital distractions, fresh off a $5 million seed round led by Index Ventures.
And next up, you'll hear about Whoosh, the intuitive operations software for golf and tennis clubs, which just raised $10.3 million in Series A funding led by AliCorp. Lastly, stick with us for a breakdown on Whizz, an e-bike subscription platform for last-mile delivery drivers, hot off their $12 million Series A led by Lita Capital.
Hoop, Whoosh, and Whizz, a very exciting. Everyone who loves a good onomatopoeia is in for a great one this week.
Yeah.
Another diverse dose of innovative companies on the docket this week. You ready, partner?
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
You see here, kid, you gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump.
This is Venture Pill, your weekly dose of startups and venture capital. We break down recent startups in the news and interview founders and investors to help you stay informed in the evolving world of venture. Leading off this week's dose, we have Hoop, an AI-powered productivity startup that just announced a $5 million seed round led by Index Ventures with participation from Origin Ventures, Divergent Capital, Chingona Ventures, and a diverse group of angel investors. The startup was founded by former early employees at Trello, which is a cloud-based project management tool that was ultimately acquired by Atlassian in 2017 for $425 million. So they have been around the block.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love when you get to see a group of founders or a founder that went through the growth of a former startup. It's more obvious when we cover multiple time founders, but there's a lot to be said for somebody that's seen the growth of a venture-backed business, even as an early employee or a late employee.
Yeah, exactly. And they specifically actually mentioned that in the breakdown on the Hoop website, which we have linked, of course, that they were looking to kind of recreate that early startup feeling and scaling a new business. And that's exactly what they're doing here with Hoop.
Yeah. So they aim to revolutionize task management for professionals in today's age of remote work and digital distractions. So we're going to break down some of the key product features here. Pretty cool. Hoop is a self-updating to-do list app that uses AI to automatically capture tasks from common tools like Slack, Zoom, Google Meet, email, which eliminates the need for manual entry. I can already start thinking how I could use this in my day-to-day at work.
Big time.
It also consolidates tasks from multiple sources into a single self-updating master list, minimizing missed items and distractions.
And it's really their AI that's the differentiator here. And their AI identifies and prioritizes actionable items from meetings, messages, and emails rather than just providing transcripts. Anyone who is engaged in remote work or just uses Zoom, I'm sure has become aware of all the different AI Zoom bot attachments you can employ. But those usually just give you a full transcript of the meeting. Maybe they'll give you a little bit of a summary or key points. But Hoop's AI really synthesizes everything into actionable to-do items, which is the real priority here. And so currently, the app is available for individuals. But in the future, they plan to launch a team version that will enable collaboration amongst teams. So if you're in a big group meeting, now you can have a whole big group to-do list from it.
I like the sound of that. Yeah, and I think a key differentiator, like you said, I've seen a couple of those Zoom AI assistants, and they're good, but this tool also takes from emails and Slack, which is where a lot of stuff happens and a lot of the to-dos can be easily tracked. I like the idea of that. Of course, assuming data privacy, which I'm sure they emphasize as they're working with companies, and soon obviously the goal would be to work with large enterprises. So that's a key, very, very key point when selling to enterprises like that. Obviously, some of the benefits include saving time, eliminating that manual need to track tasks across all those apps. As we talked about in the past, and I always go back to our interview with Tyler Amundsen, what was that, episode 69, about a year ago. And he talked a lot about how he's really optimistic about it, still is, and how it is going to be a tool that makes us more productive, not a tool that replaces us. And I think this is another good example of that. Allows us to stay focused during meetings instead of scrambling to take notes. I know that's something that I struggle with sometimes. Although some note taking is necessary to internalize things, I think there's a good happy medium there.
Yeah, I think it's just helpful to not have to furiously scribble notes down when you're going through a meeting and someone's talking in live time. I know I'll get stressed out and ask people to repeat things, right? If it's worthy of writing a note down and adding to my manual to-do list, which I use now. Maybe I'm old schooled, maybe a little bit of a boomer tendency, but I am a big, nothing gives me more satisfaction in the workplace than crossing something off the to-do list. But I imagine,
on paper.
On paper. I'm old school, yeah.
Oh,
but
man.
I imagine the sensation of clicking something off the to-do list is a similar satisfactory feeling. And so another benefit here is that Hoop provides users with confidence that important tasks won't be missed or forgotten, which is especially easy these days amongst all the other digital noise that we have, especially if you're working from home. And yeah, it's a good way of helping you prioritize also, certain things that might have a tighter deadline than others and helping you think through that as well. And so overall, it streamlines workflow and increases productivity by centralizing and automating task management. And that centralization, I think, is also a key point here. Yes, I do stuff with pen and paper still, but I also will sometimes take some quick notes on a Google Doc or a virtual Post-it note or something like that. So being able to have one centralized place where I can really know to go to make sure I'm keeping tabs on everything and staying on track, that feels like a helpful feature of this platform.
Absolutely. So yeah, a bit of an early stage here. Obviously, this funding is going to be used to build more integrations beyond Zoom, Google Meet, email, Slack. They're going to deepen the AI's capabilities and develop collaborative features, as you mentioned, moving from just the individual use case to collaboration between or amongst a team, which is exciting. And those features, those integrations will really be what allows them to sell into the enterprise, which ultimately will drive their growth in the future. So it'll be exciting to see how quickly they can build that, how they build out the team, and how sticky their product will be. Because if it's tied in with everything and companies really like it and individuals kind of get it ingrained in their day-to-day, that's pretty powerful.
Right. And it all tracks back to that the founding members of Hoop were early employees at Trello, which was a project management tool. So hard to imagine that there, are any other founders out there that might be better suited to build this exact type of tool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Our second company of this week's dose is Whoosh. Whoosh. They just raised $10.3 million in Series A funding led by Alley Corp. The round also included participation from 8VC, Craft Ventures, a couple of our favorites. Also Larry Fitzgerald and Andy Roddick, among many others, firms and individuals. For those that don't know, Larry Fitzgerald is an all-time NFL wide receiver, also an avid golfer, which you'll see why that matters here soon. And Andy Roddick, a renowned tennis player that many are aware of. So a couple of high-profile athletes there as well, rounding out the cap table.
Yeah, grew up loving Andy Roddick. Feel like he had one of the fastest serves recorded, at least at the time. Absolute tennis legend. A couple of athletic legends there, as you highlighted.
Did they named the company after Andy Roddick's serve and Larry Fitzgerald's hands?
That's perfect. And so, in short, the company provides intuitive operations software designed specifically for golf clubs, tennis clubs, and the like. And so you might initially think, what is so special about this platform that allowed Whoosh to raise from such a respected group of investors? We highlighted those were some of our most frequently mentioned investors, 8VC and Craft Ventures specifically. But I'm going to pass the baton over to you, partner.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's really traditionally that the guest experiences at these golf clubs, country clubs, racket clubs has been less than optimal. There are a lot of intricate challenges specific to each club, which is especially important at these expensive clubs where you got high profile members expecting a really good experience. There just simply has not been a tailored solution for these specific elements, which Whoosh addresses in their platform, covering things like tee times versus no tee times, and therefore managing wait lists, which can get complicated, managing lessons, simulators, other services that the club may provide, taking into account also club specific course regulations and rules, tournament management, caddy tracking. The list really went on and on. This was an impressively comprehensive platform if you take a look at their website.
Yeah, another one-stop shop type of software, which I know we covered a software company that was working specifically for coffee shops, but kind of feels like a similar platform, just a different specific application here. And so, yeah, Whoosh has built all of this and more into a seamless platform that club operators love. Safe to assume club members love it as well. And so, yeah, they have a product that's built specifically for private clubs and all of their challenges and needs, as well as racket clubs and public golf clubs, which require different solutions given they have a different client base and different problems that they need to address.
Yeah, so the company is starting to serve, in addition to those, other daily fee businesses and industries like entertainment and more. Think about like, I don't know, anywhere that serves food and you can do a fun activity. I'm thinking of like my hometown Pinstripes bowling and bocce place, right?
Mm,
Like anywhere that has an activity and could use just a more tailored software to manage operations.
right.
Uh,
Top Golf comes to mind too.
Top Golf, yeah, yeah. Not to mention co-founder and CEO Colin Reed. Wanted to just quickly say he's a 4-time founder, 3 times exited, one of which was an IPO. And oh yeah, a scratch golfer, 2-time All-American in college. So setting the standard high there.
Yeah, incredible. Again, could not have found a much better founder for this company than Colin Reed. And so to wrap up here, while we weren't able to find too many specifics on the business model, we know well that firms like 8VC and Craft Ventures, we've talked about the metrics they look at before, those firms have high standards for metrics and growth opportunity. So it seems like Whoosh has really built something unique here. And having investors like that on the cap table, certainly an indicator of strong conviction and belief in what they're building.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you mentioned the coffee shops. I think we talked about Mallard Bay several episodes back for
Mhm.
outfitters. Sometimes a tailored solution is what's needed. I think is what this pain that these 3 companies have found is that there isn't really a one size fits all approach for an operations software, and companies are willing to pay for something that's tailored to them, specific to their needs, and clearly these guys are the experts to do it here with these clubs. So an
Yeah.
awesome company. Next time you're checking in to your tea time, I know I've got one coming up. I'm going to be on the lookout for Whoosh's system. All right. Our third and final company of this week's dose, we have Whizz, an e-bike subscription platform for last mile delivery drivers. They just announced a $12 million Series A led by Lita Capital. This round also included participation from Flashpoint VC and some others. Now, this round takes the company's total funding to $20 million, fueled by 3.5x year over year growth and annual recurring revenue, or ARR, of more than $8 million.
Certainly some strong momentum that they're riding on the heels on here. And so let's start with the problem. What is Whizz trying to address? In a nutshell, the gig economy has obviously become an extremely prominent work opportunity for people of all shapes and sizes and backgrounds. But with the growth of the market, these workers have not been supported like full-time workers. Not to mention, many of these underserved workers are usually immigrants without a credit history to gain approval for a loan, which in turn prohibits them from accessing affordable and safe electric transportation, amongst other things.
Right. Yeah. So with Whizz, specifically in New York, which is their primary market, battery related fires have risen by almost 800% since 2019, which was crazy to read, with poor quality electric bikes putting workers and citizens at unnecessary risk. I didn't even realize this was a problem.
Yeah.
which is why we want, obviously you want to reduce those safety hazards on the streets of New York and for those riders. With state regulation having made now 90% of e-bikes illegal in response, Whizz is one of the few companies that provides vehicles wholly compliant with these strict measures. This has helped Whizz to attract the attention of the giants in the space, DoorDash and Grubhub, becoming an official e-bike partner of both of those food delivery companies, which hold a combined market share of 75%.
Yeah, definitely some crucial partnerships for Whizz to have secured there. So we underscored the problem there. Let's get a little bit more specific on the solution. So for as little as $5.30 per day, workers can use a nifty e-bike that only requires one charge a day. They also claim that delivery riders can do up to 35 orders per day and earn as much as $5,500 per month using Whizz and their e-bikes. And not to mention, they also have all the bells and whistles like smooth suspension, comfy saddles, big baskets, and puncture-proof tires. So you don't have to cheap out on a bike that might, suddenly burst into flames and contribute to the 800% spike in battery-related fires.
Seriously, and we know some of those roads are pretty bumpy. I've ridden some of the bikes around Manhattan, and when they're doing work on those roads, it can be treacherous. But have no fear in the Whizz bikes. They also claim that these bikes are rarely stolen, less than 1% of the time. That's due to their tracking technology. To get a bike, you can either rent it straight up, you can rent to buy, which is like a 12-month plan to ownership, which I thought is pretty cool, or you can buy the bike straight up. And so there are a few options depending on the person's financial situation and their desire. Also wanted to round it out, they have multilingual support. So again, going back to this being built for immigrants really in mind. So a lot of support there, free maintenance on the bikes, really a full service solution here, making it very easy for these folks.
Yeah, I love the flexibility of the solution. And to add to that, double down a little bit, a quick quote from Mike Perugadov, the co-founder and CEO of Whizz. Since Whizz's launch in 2022, it has sped ahead of its competitors by building the safest and most reliable delivery e-bike on the market and creating powerful software that has allowed the business to grow exponentially without breaking down. With regulatory pressure increasing, it will be difficult for new businesses to enter the market, but it's welcome news for established companies like Whizz, and we fully intend to stake our claim as the #1 e-bike rental service in the United States.
Yeah, powerful quote there. With that said, there are competitors out there, but Whizz makes it a no-brainer. Superior pricing, service support, speed and range, all the metrics that you look for. It's really not a comparison, and so they've got a solid, like he said, that they've staked their claim, a solid position in the market. So they're going to use these funds to purchase additional vehicles, including all new electric mopeds as well. They're going to expand operations across the U.S. starting next year, obviously mostly in New York City right now, some in New Jersey, and they intend to grow their fleet of 2,500 e-bikes to more than, get this, 200,000 vehicles by 2030.
Wow.
So that's a lot of growth. Pretty ambitious.
Yeah, that is a significant ramping up of the fleet there. And really, this will allow thousands of immigrant workers to overall improve their earnings and expenses, a goal that was really shaped by Whizz's co-founders, who are a team of migrants who have experienced and can sympathize with the difficulties of relocating themselves before co-founding the company back in 2022. And so as a final note, this company is serving a growing need, especially within New York City. And we are sure to see their bright lime green bikes whizzing around Manhattan and, hey, maybe even Chicago or LA, get across the rest of the United States in due time as well.
Yeah, could see them very soon here in Chi City. I got to get myself a bike, so maybe I'll be in the market and earn a little bit of extra money on the side.
Yeah, I will say when it comes to bright lime green, e-bikes and transportation, first thing that comes to mind for me is Lime. Maybe I'm a little jaded from our tenure in Austin, but they had a similar seeming color scheme. But yeah, certainly another company to wrap up this week's dose for us to keep tabs on. Excited to see Whizz's growth. And I think between Hoop, Whoosh, and Whizz, that does it for this week's dose. another innovative, diverse dose for our listeners out there. As always, thank you all for listening, and you know where to find us next week.
Take care now, y'all. You hear? Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another dose of startups and venture capital. And as always, we appreciate our pilgrims spreading the word about the show. Share with your friends and help someone else make the pilgrimage. See you next time.
She told me that she only bumps my music when she's lonely. Thinks my vibe's a little low-key, okie dokie, that's alright, but wait, I don't know how to do things different.